Hello my schoolers, welcome to my school channel. My name is Alexandra. Right here we're tackling 2019 JAMB past questions for the subject government. Don't go anywhere, stay with us and we'll be right back. Welcome back to my school channel. So in this video clip we'll be attempting question 1 to 20. Now starting with question 1. In a democratic system, A, majority vote, B, legal sovereignty shouldn't be unquestionable, C, electoral college is always necessary, B, minority vote but majority rule. Now this question tells us that we're trying to complete the sentence, or we're trying to state the meaning of a democratic system. Now when we talk about a majority vote, this option is not enough to tell us what a democratic system is all about. It is not substantial. It is not enough to tell us everything. So let's move on to option B. Legal sovereignty shouldn't be questionable. Now this, in other words, means that legal sovereignty should be questionable. Now what is legal sovereignty? Legal sovereignty is used to describe that one person who by law has the final say or can give the final command. Don't forget by law. So one person who can give the final say by the rule of the law, or by the law, or whatever the law states. Option C, electoral college is always necessary. Now what does electoral college mean? It means it is used to refer to how people vote. Now it's a group of people who are chosen from a political party to represent that party and to vote. Think of it like this: you have 100 people in a political party, but then they choose 20 to go and vote or represent that political party to vote for their leader. Option D, minority vote but majority rule. Now what does this mean? Yes, majority rule in democratic system. What does majority rule mean? It means everyone has a say. Do not forget that a democratic system is a system in which people exercise governing powers either directly or through their representative, or we can say democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So it has to do with the people. So we talk about majority rule, we're talking about the people having a say. And then minority votes, this is not enough. This is not substantial. Minority rule does not add up or does not complete this majority rule. Is just contradicting. So in a democratic system, the answer is B, legal sovereignty shouldn't be unquestionable. Don't forget I said that this statement also means legal sovereignty should be questionable. It should be questionable. That is, all arms of government, or the 3 arms of government, are subjected to reviews. That is, they are subjected to reviews means that they are questionable. They should be accountable for check and balances. So option B is the correct answer. Question 2. That type of sovereignty that thrives on legitimacy is A, external sovereignty, B, vested on any form of government, C, legal sovereignty, D, within the people's mandate. Now in this question they are trying to ask us what type of sovereignty thrives on that supports legitimacy, or that increases the status of legitimacy. And don't forget, legitimacy means anything legal, anything that it is by law. Okay, so what are the types of sovereignty? Let's remind ourselves. We have de facto sovereignty, de jure sovereignty, external, internal sovereignty. We have political sovereignty as well as legal sovereignty. So we look at these options, we see that we have only 2 types of sovereignty here that was mentioned. These are just what I'll call distractors. Now external sovereignty will mean that having control over states without the interference of outsiders. So that's what it means. Then legal sovereignty, don't forget I said legal sovereignty is referred to as one who has the final say to give the final command by law. So legal sovereignty expresses the will of the states in legal terms. That is, the law has to state it. So in legal terms, we are talking about legal sovereignty. So exercising that power, authority, or control legally. So we see that option C emphasizes the tribe on legitimacy, or the tribe on legal procedures. So option C is the correct answer. Question 3. The right of a citizen to seek redress means the right to dash: A. Fair hearing. B. Free access to legal materials. C. Seek an appeal under another judgment. D. Exercise his political liberty. The right of a citizen to seek redress simply means the right of a citizen to make complaints to one's government, or it could mean the right of a citizen to appeal to one's government to reopen, re-examine, or readdress a case by a court of higher authority. Now, judging from my explanation, we see that option C clearly states this: seeking an appeal under another judgment. Now, let me give you a scenario. Take, for instance, I have a case with the state court, and I'm seeking a redress. It will be addressed to the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court, which is the highest court. So option C is the correct answer. However, fair hearing means is used to refer to an individual who is given the opportunity to seek for evidence to support his or her own case. So an individual or a citizen is given that liberty or the opportunity to look for evidence to support his or her own case. So option C is the final answer. Question 4. An order compelling a lower court or public corporation to perform in accordance with legitimacy is called dash: A. The writ of mandamus. B. The great writ. C. The writ of ombudsman. D. None of the above. The correct answer to this is option A, the writ of mandamus. The writ of mandamus is an order issued to mandate a public authority to perform the function that it is established for. So that is option A is the correct answer. But then option B, the great writ. The great writ is also called habeas corpus. Habeas corpus is an order issued to present the evidence of one's detention. So usually it is used to exonerate one from all illegal confinement. So option C, the writ of ombudsman. Ombudsman is an official that is assigned by the government to resolve complaints or to investigate complaints and eventually resolve the complaints. So option A is the correct answer to this question. Question 5. A form of government which has its slogan to be ruling of the best is dash: A. Democracy. B. Aristocracy. C. Timocracy. D. Plutocracy. Democracy is a form of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Aristocracy is a type of government that is meant for the best individual, the best qualified, the highest class of person. It emphasizes nobility and it talks about the best. Option C, Timocracy. Timocracy is a form of government that is strictly for property owners. Option D, Plutocracy. This is a type of government for the wealthy. So from my explanation, we see option B is the correct answer, the ruling of the best. Option B, aristocracy, is the appropriate answer. Do not forget to take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past questions. All you need to do is click on the link in the description below where it takes you to my school website. There you can download my school mobile app for your Android phones and my school software for your computers and laptops. There are thousands of questions there for you to practice with. So go ahead and download this app and start practicing. Now moving on to question 6. The concentration of powers means the dash: A. Sharing of power among tiers of government. B. Creation of semi-autonomous units to govern other parts of a state. C. Process of setting strategies or policies for the subsidiary territories in the state by putting recognized personnel in place. The act of delegating powers and authority to component units that exist in a state. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about the concentration of power. What does it mean? Now, this means shifting tasks and responsibility to other personnel. Now, let's take a instance, a classroom setting. A class teacher is supposed to moderate and coordinate the pupils in his or her class. Now I'm a class teacher and I decide to shift tasks and responsibility to pupils, and I tell one, okay, be in charge of the board, make sure the board is neat and ready for every subject or topic usage. Then I tell another one, okay, make sure your bags and your books are well arranged, and I delegate another task to another one and tell, okay, make sure my table is arranged properly, that is your books on my table, and I do this shifting tasks and responsibility to the pupils. That is the concentration of power. Do not forget shifting tasks or responsibilities to other personnel, whereas one person is in charge. Now I want us to look at another term called decentralization of power. Now decentralization means when all the activities of an organization is delegated or distributed to other subnations. So other subnation means to other tiers of government, maybe the local government or the state government. Now there is a sharing of power here. The decision making as well as planning is shared among these other subnations. So there's a sharing of power in decentralization, but there isn't in deconcentration. Now, having established that, let's look at the options again. Sharing of powers among tiers of government. Now this applies to decentralization. Okay. Now option B, creation of semi-autonomous units to govern other parts of a state. Now this also would be tailored to decentralization because it has to do with self-government. Autonomous means self-government. So self-governing units to govern other parts of a state. This also has to do with decentralization, or what we call devolution. Now option C, process of setting strategies or policies for the subsidiary territories in the state by putting recognized personnel in place. Now this is deconcentration because we are setting strategies or policies for the subsidiary territories in the state by putting recognized personnel in place. So this is the concentration of power. Option D, act of delegating power and authority to component units that exist in a state. This is also decentralization. Option C is the correct answer. I believe you're enjoying this content. If so, do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and tap on the bell notification to get alerted as soon as we release our new videos. Question 7. The concept of the independence of the judiciary means that dash. A. The judiciary must not attempt to meddle into legislative and executive affairs. Option B. The powers of the court cannot be subjected of executive reassessment. C. The sanity of the office of the judges and justice must be preserved without prejudice. D. All means of legislative or executive influence on judicial decision making must be disabled. Now let's talk about the independence of judiciary. It simply means the non-interference of other arms of government, that is the legislative and the executive, in the decision making of the judiciary. Now option D best explain this, and option D is the answer. All means of legislative or executive influence on judicial decision making must be disabled. This is to ensure that the judicial arm of government is not vulnerable to the influence of the executive and legislative. That is, legislative and executive should not meddle in the decision making of the judiciary. Option D is the correct answer. Question 8. The political party serves as dash. A. A platform upon which the rights and liberties of the people can be attained. Option B. The group aggregating the interest of all in the state. Option C. A platform for rebelling against military rule. D. A platform for interest representation. Now, a political party is an organized group of people with aims and objectives and also seeking to obtain the control of the government. Now, you see that option B, C, and D are not enough. They are not substantial to discuss the purpose of, or to stress the purpose of a political party. A political party, we have different political parties and they have their aims and objectives, and they also seek to obtain control of the government. So we see that option A is the correct answer, is the best answer. A platform upon which the rights and liberties of the people can be attained. It's a common thing among all political parties. So option A is the correct answer. Question 9. A party can be said to have national outlook if dash A. It is ethnic based but has branches all over the state. B. Its membership cuts across ethnic boundaries. C. It is registered by the Electoral Commission as a national party. D. It is headed by individuals who are famous within and without the country. Now, national outlook here implies that it binds various or different cultural group or ethnic group. So we see from my explanation that option B carries this. Its membership cuts across ethnic boundaries. Okay, option B is the correct answer. Question 10. Argumentation, negotiation, and deliberation on the subject matter of a bill begins at the dash A. Third stage, B. First reading, C. Committee stage, D. Second reading. Now, a bill is not a law until passed into law by the executive. Now, this comes in stages. The first one is the first reading. Here in the first reading, the bill is presented and it is printed and shared to members. Then the next one is the second reading. Here, the bill is debatable. So, negotiation is done here, deliberation is done in the second reading. Now, next is the committee stage. In the committee stage, an amendment is discussed. Then the next one is the third stage. In the third stage, verbal amendment takes place in the third stage, and then the bill is either passed or rejected in the third stage. So the answer to this question is option D, second reading. Question 11. A vote of no confidence means dash the same as impeachment in a presidential system. Option B, the ability of the head of state to dissolve the parliament when collective responsibility fails to hold. Option C, the act of showing disapproval to the Prime Minister having breached the collective responsibility doctrine. Option D, the disapproval with dismissal in effect the ministers and his head. Now, a vote of no confidence is a vote to ascertain whether a person holding a particular position is no longer deemed fit to hold that particular position. Now, in such cases, when there's a majority, when majority do not support the person's policy or the president's policy, immediately there's a dismissal. So we see that from my explanation, option D is the correct answer, as opposed to option A. Impeachment is when a president is charged of misconduct, the president is impeached. But a vote of no confidence is a vote, and when majority do not support that presidential system or that policy established by that president, is dismissed. Option D is the correct answer. Question 12. A cabinet reshuffle takes place dash A. Only when a motion of no confidence is passed. B. When the solution is held. C. When propagation and collective responsibility have their way. D. When the shadow cabinet fails in its effectiveness. Now, a cabinet reshuffle also means a cabinet substitute. So this takes place when there's a dismissal, when people are being dismissed from their office or public office. So from my explanation, we see that option B interprets this or carries this meaning when the solution is held. The solution means the solve, to dismiss also. Option B is the correct answer. Question 13. Popular political participation means dash having majority of the people partaking in politics. B. Having a good number of voters in the electoral process. C. The aggregate efforts of more than half of the citizens to partake in public debate and politics. D. The sum total of all activities exerted by majority with enthusiasm actively involving in all aspects of their political sphere. Now, popular political participation means the aggregate of all the citizens' efforts in partaking deliberately and consciously in the governance affairs. That is, it has to do with the sum total of all efforts of the citizen in governance affairs. When you look at the definition I just explained concerning popular political participation, you see that option D is the correct answer. The sum total of all activities exerted by the majority with enthusiasm actively involving in all aspects of their political sphere. Option D is the correct answer. Question 14. The area from which one or more members or representatives are elected in public office is called the electoral dash. A. College. B. Constituency. C. Ward. and D, district. The answer to this question is constituency. It is used to describe the area from which representatives are elected. Option B is the correct answer. Question 15. Citizenship by naturalization dash A is the same as citizenship by marriage and registration. B refers to the process of attaining citizenship through honorary means. C is the act of a non-citizen having satisfied the constitutional criteria becoming a legal member of a state. D is the medium by which an alien through the judiciary receives certification and attains citizenship by birth. Now the answer to this question is C. Why? Citizenship by naturalization is the acquisition of citizenship by a non-citizen who has fulfilled all the requirements of a good citizen by the law. So option C is the correct answer to this question. Please be reminded that there are several solution providers readily waiting to answer all of your questions. All you need to do is click on the link in the description below where it takes you to my school website. There you can ask your questions and solutions will be provided to you within a short period of time. Now moving on to question 16. The last measure used by the pressure groups issuing a condition to be satisfied within a stipulated time is called dash. A. Lobbying. B. Ultimatum. C. Dialogue. D. Strike. The answer to this question is option B. Ultimatum. Pressure group commonly issues ultimatum known as deadlines to the government to fulfill their desires or their queries before embarking on a strike. Option B is the correct answer. If you have better steps, explanation or solutions to any of these questions, feel free to use the comment section below, indicate the question and the solutions you would like to share. Question 17. Generally, a political party with only manifestos without fulfillment is A/and dash. A. Conservative party. B. Elitist party. C. Theocratic party. D. Republican party. The answer to this question is B. Elitist party. Elitist party is a party that consists of elites with little or much agenda for social justice. So option B is the correct answer. Question 18. A form of government organized by a council of military officers is called dash. A. Militocracy. B. Stratocracy. C. Military junta. D. Mobocracy. The answer to this question is option C. Military junta. So this is a form of government organized by a council of military officers, especially after a coup. Option C is the correct answer. Question 19. The non-stratified society in the pre-colonial era was that of the dash, where decisions were made dash. A. Yoruba by the Oyomesi. B. Igbo by consensus. C. Outsideslashfulani by the Emir. D. Igbo by the Okpara. Now, let's look at this question. It says non-stratified society. This simply means a decentralized society. A society with no class structure. Now, if you take a look at the pre-colonial era, we see that the Igbo society was highly decentralized as opposed to the Yoruba and Hausa, which was centralized. So the Igbo society, we know that the Igbo society is the answer of this question. So we really have option A and C. But then we are left with B and D. Now, decentralized will mean that the power or authority was not invested in one single person. So that means option D cannot be the answer because it talks about a single person, Okpara, that is the first son. So it can't be the first person because it contradicts the meaning of decentralization in the first instance. So the answer is B by consensus. Consensus is the process of decision making that has to do with a widespread agreement by the members of a group. So option B is the correct answer. The non-stratified society in the pre-colonial era was that of the Igbo, where decisions were made by consensus. Option B is the correct answer. Question 20. The Outsideslashfulani Empire, as a result of its heterogeneous population, adopted dash. A unitary system where full concentration of power prevailed. B. A federal structure where powers were decentralized although autocratic. Option C, a quasi-federal structure with devolution. Option D, a partial federal setup with the concentration. Now, we know that the Hausa/Fulani political administration was highly centralized, that this power was vested in a single person. Now, heterogeneous population here means diverse in kind. Now, diverse in kind, what does this imply? We know that the Hausa political system was made up of different departments or administration. We had the treasury department, we had the butcher department, we had the police administration, the army administration, and so on and so forth, with their leaders or a person put in charge of these units. The answer to this question is D, a partial federal setup. A partial federal setup with deconcentration. Don't forget I said the concentration is the shift in tasks or responsibilities to other personnel. Now, how do we relate this to the political administration or to the heterogeneous population as asked in this question? Now, take for instance the Maji in the Hausa political system. The Maji was in charge of the treasury department, but then he was accountable to the emir. We also have the Dogari, which was in charge of which was the police head rather. Madawaki, the commander of the army. Sakin Power, which was in charge of the butcher. We also had Waziri, which was the head of all the officials. We had Galadima, the head of the capital, and so on and so forth. So we see tasks and responsibility divided or shifted to other personnel. So that is the concentration. Option D is the final answer. We've come to the end of the segment, and I believe you enjoyed every bit of this. So do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release our next videos.